Hello. Thank you for having me here today. It's an honor to be here. But before I get started, I would like to thank a few people that are extremely instrumental to this lunch today and our connection to the community of Pittsburgh. Done some great work here with us on the last few events. Katie Sweezy, please. Katie Sweezy, thank you for all your help. Katie joined the board in 2008 and just has been a key asset to our team, especially on the ground here in Pittsburgh as we've done our charitable events since 2016. So thank you, Katie, for today and all that you've done the past couple of years. Also, my brother, Dan McNally, I'd like to thank him. He's doing a lot of the work behind the scenes that nobody wants to do or work in the dark, pulling up flags, getting out signage, doing stuff behind the scenes. So thank you, Dan, for that. We greatly appreciate your help. Today, obviously, I'm here to talk to you about VetLinks, which is a story that's near and dear to my heart. I want to tell you a little bit about our story and our mission. But before I get started on that, do we have any veterans here today? Any fine, brave men or women in our audience? What branch? Air Force. Well, thank you. We greatly appreciate your service. Anybody else? How about any family? Do we have any family of veterans at the lunch today? Please stand. Thank you. So many times you don't realize the sacrifice that a family has to endure and make when their loved one is away. So very important we recognize not just the veterans, but their family and children. So thank you guys for being here. What is VetLinks? Why Pittsburgh? Why this community? Why am I in front of you today? Well, to me, the story, or our story, the story of VetLinks is about Major Brian Anthony Cavanaugh. He's a hometown hero. He's a product of this community. He was born and raised in Pittsburgh in 1979. To Dennis and Susie Cavanaugh. He's got two sisters, Molly and Allison, both live in Kansas City. Brian used to rave about growing up in Pittsburgh. He loved it. It was the coolest place on earth. Who would have thought? He spent K through 12 in St. Mary's Colgan at the school right down the road. And then after he graduated high school in 1997, he decided to go on and be a guerrilla at Pitt State University and join their ROTC program before he went into active duty. Being good friends with Brian for 18 years, I wanted to be a guerrilla too. I thought it was just natural to follow in his footsteps. So we became guerrillas together and got a house, created a lot of fond memories, some of the best memories of my life. Brian later graduated in 2002 with a degree and went on to fulfill what he felt like he was meant to do, and that was be one of our fine, brave soldiers. As a kid, Brian didn't want to play football. Brian didn't want to play sports so much. He loved the science of Army. He loved everything that went with it. And that's probably why he was so good at it and had a desire to do that. But after K-12 in Pittsburgh and then another 5 years in school, 4.5 years in school at Pittsburgh State, he went into the real active duty military world and traveled, lived in Arizona, Colorado Springs, and then he got his first deployment. His first deployment was in 2008. He was deployed into Iraq. Oh, and Brian wasn't just a soldier. Brian was an Army Ranger. And he took great pride in that. He was in the infantry unit. And he was the feet on the street, in the trenches, on the ground, the hand-to-hand, not bombing from afar, but doing the dirty work in the trenches. And that's where Brian wanted to be, as he felt where he could make the most difference. So as he and his men and women endured a lot of challenges in that first deployment. There was a lot of the nightmares of war that you might hear about in the movies or read about. Visited Brian. He got to see it firsthand. Most of us in this room will never experience some of those things, thankfully. And it's because of heroic men and women like Brian. But to put yourself in that kind of environment says a lot about a person's character. In that battle and in that deployment, he received 2 Bronze Stars for his heroic effort. Then after that deployment, he returned back to the States, where he was back in Colorado Springs, loved the mountains, loved the outdoors, loved being stateside. But he wasn't back here too long before the call came again, the call to duty. Brian was eager to go back. This time not to Iraq, his second deployment was in Afghanistan. Once again, with the infantry. This time he was in charge of more men and women. And pretty much the same story. They did a lot of great things, but once again, Brian had to endure some loss and some of the negatives that come with the battlefield. However, through that adversity and through those really challenging times, he still found a way to get another Bronze Star for his heroic efforts and his bravery on the battlefield. That's just who Brian was. He was extremely brave. He was extremely bold, and he wasn't afraid of challenge. After he served his second tour in Afghanistan, he returned back home. Things somewhat calmed down for a little bit. In the end of 2011, he found his beautiful bride-to-be and got married. Shortly thereafter, after meeting in Baltimore, after moving from the Springs, Brian and Jessica started a family. They had 2 beautiful girls, Evie and Marin. Evie is 5 today, and Marin will be 7 this summer. And they had a lot of good memories. And then Brian started to suffer. There were some challenges he faced, and some just erratic behavior that he didn't understand himself, and he wanted to get some help. And that's when they started seeking out for guidance and direction to try to evaluate Brian and get the proper medical treatment that he needed. And that's where the VetLinks story kind of comes into play that I'll tell you a little bit about. That was not an easy path to navigate. I'm glad she's not, but wish she was here to articulate, Jessica, just some of those struggles. It's hard to hear her tell her story, just because she felt like she was getting dead end after dead end, and they felt like they were trying to do all the right things, ask the right questions, and time again they would be put on a waiting list, or there weren't enough beds, or the head count was already too high. And then they would get into a facility, and it'd be an astronomical amount, maybe money that they didn't necessarily have at the time. This was extremely challenging for the Kavanaugh family. So after some stints at an inpatient stay, one in particular in 2015 in October, is when our vision, Brian had the vision of VetLinks. It was in that Virginia facility where he had helped many of his fellow veterans with things they didn't quite understand, whether that was how to get certain benefits, whether certain treatment was a covered benefit, just to help those veterans try to get what they so desperately needed, the treatment that they deserve. In some of his darker days when he was struggling, it speaks to the character of Brian. He wasn't worried about himself. He was more worried about helping his fellow veterans. And that's when he put the pen to paper, and he came back from his stay in Virginia and told his wife, hey, I've got an idea. I'm going to help other veterans. The system is broke. I'm going to help. VetLinks is going to be the link to help connect veterans to the treatment they need. that's when the idea and the concept was born. Fast forward just less than a year from then, Brian had gotten help in another facility. He was back in Baltimore, spending his 6th anniversary with his wife and his two lovely girls. That weekend, the last weekend in June, was a great weekend. I'm very glad that he got to spend it with his wife and spend some time with her alone and have a nice dinner. And then they spent the back half of the weekend with their children. Then the following Tuesday, his wife received a call that Brian had passed. After he'd passed, after we had buried him, we all got together, his family, his spouse, some of his dearest friends, and we decided that we weren't going to let his vision die in Virginia. We were not going to let his mission or vision stop here, stop now. We wanted to fulfill what he wanted to see through. And that's why I'm personally here. And most of the board all the board is where they're at. And that's to fulfill Brian's mission. As you can see, here's our mission statement on the projector, but it's quite simple. We're here to help veterans. We're here to help veterans and their caregivers and their children get the treatment they so desperately deserve. So, if I could just close with telling you a couple powerful, what I feel are very powerful statistics. Only 1% of our population, less than 1% actually, is willing, fit, and able to serve in our armed forces. Less than 1%. I challenge you, as I challenge myself and those around me, to be part. What can we do? There's got to be more than, if only 1% can serve, can't the other 99% contribute in some way, form, or fashion? I hope you can find in your heart of hearts to do something. To do something for veterans. And I'll give you 3 things. If you can hug a veteran, give them a hug. Thank them for their service. He or she will greatly appreciate that. If you can come out to our event in August, we'd love to have you out there. Show support for the community, show support for the Kavanaugh family, show support for his wife and girls. And if you can, donate so we can help some more veterans, that'd be great. But if you can just come out and support it, that'd be great. If not, you can go to our website, and there's some more places up there. And the 4th one would be doing anything for any other veteran cause, even outside our own walls. Just do something for those that have done so much for us. And we have the life, luxuries, and freedom because of those brave men and women. So I would just conclude. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. It doesn't look like anybody fell asleep. But we would greatly, greatly appreciate to see you in August. And please be part of that 99%. It's going to make a difference. Don't rest on your laurels and don't do nothing. Because ultimately, these brave men and women like the hometown hero I'm here talking about, it's because the sacrifices they're willing to make. That's why you and I can sit in this room and enjoy the luxuries and freedoms we have. So I know I'll never forget. I hope you guys will never forget. And I hope together we will be able to continue to form a link to veterans and the help they so desperately need. Thank you. I will be around if anybody has any questions. And in closing, if there's anybody you know, our family, our friends, that anybody that may be suffering, please, we're a platform that can help. And 90% of our board was born and raised in this town. We will do everything we can to make sure we meet your request. Thank you.
Okay, continue with the minutes. 15 minutes.
Film back.